So as I run this YouTube channel, I'm constantly trying to sharpen my skills as an aspiring cinematographer. The last thing I want is just to become stagnant and caught in an endless loop of creating camera gear videos. Don't get me wrong, I love talking about gear and sharing my thoughts on different products, but being a YouTube reviewer was never really something that I set out to become. So in 2024, something that I really want to do more of is create spec ads that I can use in my reel and on my website. And if you're confused about what a spec ad is, essentially it's just a fake commercial. So it's not commissioned or affiliated with any brand, and typically it's self-funded. So I really wanted to focus on creating some spec work that featured brands that were local to here in Oregon, which is where I'm from. So in today's video, we'll be talking about how I created a really short spec ad for Kershaw knives, and I did it with an old Panasonic GH5 and some pretty cheap lenses. One of the things that's sometimes hard about creating passion projects is that oftentimes you're at it alone. I did have some help on this video, but a large portion of it was shot solo. I've been seeing a lot of ads with POV shots in them, so I wanted to try my hand at those. Okay, so I got a clamp here I'm going to attach to the stick. Then I have a second clamp that I'm going to do on the top side of the stick. This is what's going to actually be for my camera to mount on. I didn't want the whole thing to be just POV, but the shots that were, I really wanted to stand out. Knives are typically used in the outdoors, so that was basically my location prompt. Luckily, I know numerous places here in Oregon that I could go shoot this in. So as far as pre-production goes, I really didn't have to do too much. I already had the ideas of the shots that I wanted to get, and I'm pretty sure I knew how to execute them. So I think that this spec ad is going to be mostly focused on the products and not necessarily story driven. Something I do like to do though is go onto the social media of whatever company I want to make a spec ad for, and just make sure that whatever I'm going to make is going to be on brand. So as I mentioned, I shot the whole little spec ad with the Panasonic GH5, which was really great. This is smaller and lighter than my S5 IIX, and the lenses for this camera are smaller and lighter as well, so that came in handy. Speaking of lenses, one lens that kind of made this whole shoot work was this TT Artisan 10mm f2. Now, TT Artisans was nice enough to send this to me to check out, and this lens is pretty cool because it's only $170 and it gives me a 20mm equivalent field of view. Some other things about this TT Artisan lens is that it can give some really crazy lens flares, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you like. It's nice and sharp in the middle, but it starts to soften when you get towards the edges. But stopping down tends to fix that. Again, my favorite feature is that it can focus really close, making shots like these possible. Something else that's pretty cool about this lens is that it actually has a filter ring on it. So this comes with a 72mm filter ring. I've adapted mine to 77 because those are the filters that I use. And it comes in a bunch of different mounts for APS-C and Micro Four Thirds cameras. I'll definitely have a link to it in the description below if you want to check it out. Another lens that I used was this Sigma 16mm f1.4. This is the lens that I did all of like the medium shots with. And I would say the second most crucial lens that I used for this shoot was this Sigma 56mm f1.4. Now, this is a lens that I wouldn't typically use, but I really wanted to isolate the products in this video, and this 56mm gave me about 112mm equivalent field of view and a lot of bokeh. So it didn't matter what environment I was shooting in, everything in the background is going to be really nice and blurred out. And since pocket knives and hatchets are kind of small items typically, this really helped isolate the subjects from the background and really made them pop. So normally I don't shoot on super long lenses like this, but honestly, I think that this is kind of an underrated lens for shooting product videos. And for the POV shots, I just used this little SmallRig Magic Arm. Cool thing about this is that it only costs about $15. So that's kind of how I got the POV shots. I would mount my camera to the Magic Arm and then put the pocket knife on the actual clamp. And that was just a really simple and cheap solution to get those POV shots for this video. So when it comes to grading, I don't do anything too crazy to this GH5 footage, but what I do is I apply Cinematch, and that's a plugin that can change the color space from one camera to another. And I change it from Vlog L from the GH5 into ARRI Log C. And then something that I've been doing is I use the ARRI Log C to Rec 709 that ARRI actually provides on their website to change my ARRI Log C footage into Rec 709 and just have a really good starting place to grade my footage. Now, I'm not a colorist by any means, but I think that this method has given me a really good starting point to get a nice clean look. I think it's important to sometimes force yourself to make things, even if the idea is super simple. I shot this whole ad over the course of about 3 days, and because my friends and I are big fans of Kershaw, I had a lot of different knives, hatchets, and saws I could use in this video, which I think helps when creating spec work. Actually knowing the brand and using their products makes you better equipped to make something cool. For a zero budget run and gun video, I am very pleased with how much I was able to do with inexpensive gear and a skeleton crew. Okay, so just finished the edit. Let's watch it real quick. It's only like 30 seconds long, and then we'll come back and I'll talk a little bit about what I've learned. Okay, so that was the little spec ad that I did for Kershaw. Now, obviously, looking back on it now, there's probably a lot more that I could have done and a bunch of things that I could have done differently, but I actually really like how it turned out. I think that the POV shots really worked. I really like how the super wide angle shots from the POV cam mixed in with the super telephoto shots from that Sigma 56mm. The things that I probably could have done a little bit differently, maybe some actual shots of like chopping wood with the hatchets and just done a little bit more to really show what those tools are actually meant for. And something that I hope that you take away from this video is that it doesn't matter if you have an M50 or a GH5 or whatever, you can still make cool looking stuff and you can still practice your cinematography even if you're not shooting with a cinema camera. That's just something that I want to encourage you with. Go out, try to shoot something, and I think that the more you shoot, the more you make mistakes, you can avoid all of those mistakes in the next project that you try. And if you just keep doing that and doing that and doing that repetitively, you're only going to get better. Anyways, hope you liked that video. If you did, it'd be cool if you hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, and if you want to watch more of my videos, you can click right over there. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Later.